everybody. Sarah Northrup, Taylor Cowell from Texas Panhandle Centers. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We're really glad to bring you these videos and talk about things that we think everyone may be struggling with at some time or another. If you have any issues that you want to discuss that may be mental health related, crisis hotline number is 806-359-6699. Today, Taylor and I want to talk a little bit about coping skills in general. And if you haven't heard, we are in the midst of a pandemic. And there's not been anything to this point that's probably tested our resiliency and ability to kind of go through our work day, our personal lives, anything like that. So there just aren't enough coping skills that we could have.
No.
I don't think. So, Taylor, how's the pandemic been treating you?
Well, it's challenging for everybody, I think. And some people, they have natural coping skills. They, whether that's family or hobbies, and some people, they don't have access to those, or they just haven't maybe discovered, or they don't know what their coping skills need to be, whether that's for mental health symptoms or for substance abuse, for relapse prevention. It kind of, there's coping skills for both of them. Regardless, though, it's important to have them, and I think we wanted to talk about what are some of the coping skills that you can do, how can you identify them, and kind of go from there. So one of the big things that I talk about with some of my clients is the importance of relaxation techniques and mindfulness when it comes to anxiety.
So people use that word mindfulness a lot. Well, what does that really mean?
My definition of it really is taking yourself out of that mental spiral and putting yourself in the present moment. When you are having these spiraling thoughts, and one thought's into another, and it's this cascading effect, having something to kind of ground you and to put you back into that present moment will it'll distract you, first of all, from those anxious thoughts that you're having. And second of all, it's going to calm you down. It's going to take you away from it, maybe allow you to kind of see the solution instead of worrying about the problem, right?
And so that can kind of lead to some different types of thinking.
Yeah.
Right? And you and I've talked about this before in terms of, and one example is snowball thinking, right? So you take one little bitty thing, and then what happens?
It cascades. It
Okay.
starts building up and building up. Whether that's, am I going to be able to pay the bill this month? I think a lot of people probably have that thought, especially during these times when work is uncertain at times. Taking that one thought, and is that going to lead to, how am I going to feed the kids? How am I going to pay for gas? How am I going to do this, that, and that?
And it's always about what about tomorrow? What about the next day?
Yeah.
What about next month? And really, I think a lot of people are saying, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
some of us may feel like we have some stability in our lives in one area, but maybe in another area, it's very uncertain, like you were talking about. And also, too, we just have to do one day at a time.
Yeah.
You can talk to people about that, and they just go, whoa, wait a minute, one day.
Yeah.
I've got, what about next week? What about later this afternoon? What about?
Yeah.
So how do you try to stay in the moment with the mindfulness that you're talking about?
One thing it's good for, both acute and I guess non-acute kind of anxiety moments is something called physical grounding. And so physical grounding is a form of mindfulness, like I said, putting yourself out of your head and into the present moment, where you focus on the things around you. What's visible to you? One way I like to practice this with clients especially is I ask them, hey, think about something that's going to make you anxious, whether that's relapsing or finding a job or something like that. Something to kind of get them stirred up, and we can practice this. And from there, asking them to notice all the details around the room. So if you look behind us, you can probably see there's a white door, the lights are kind of reflecting down on it, the cabinets are brown, glaze, I guess, there's a microwave. The microwave is black, there's got a lot of different buttons on it. The carpet is a lot of different colors, it's brown, tan, it's textured, I guess, it looks rough. you get the idea
I do.
a little bit.
I do.
It's just starting to notice all the little things around you, and it's an empirically based mindfulness technique, meaning there is research out there done by professors and other scholars proving its effectiveness.
What about breathing? Because people will say, and of course in this day and time, if we're wearing masks when we go out in public, I really have a hard time breathing. I'm not breathing when I've got my mask on.
Yeah.
Now, we don't think that's true. But in moments of anxiety or stress, what are some suggestions for people in terms of their breathing?
There's a lot of different breathing techniques out there, and a lot of different relaxation techniques in general. So it's really good to, if you have access to therapists, counselors, case managers, to talk about this with them, because I'm sure they're going to know a ton of them too. Because there may be one for you, there may be one that just doesn't work for you. But one I like to teach people is called diaphragmatic breathing.
Okay. Say that again one more time for the audience.
Diaphragmatic breathing.
We're not going to spell that, thankfully, but
Diaphragmatic.
You were a spelling bee champ,
I
right?
don't know. But
and so what does that mean? Where is your diaphragm?
Diaphragm is right below the rib cage, so
okay.
And it is kind of that inflatable balloon that when you breathe you can feel it expand and contract. So diaphragmatic breathing is something that you can do where you would focus on inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, and exhaling for 4 seconds. But all the time while you're doing that, you're really focusing on that one part of your body, the diaphragm, expanding, contracting. And what I always teach it is really, really exaggerate it. Really get that thing out there and hold it, and then when you let go, feel it kind of come back in. And it's that repetitive, kind of cyclical thing that when you start doing it for 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 minutes, however long it takes, a lot of times that has really good efficacy in terms of lowering your anxiety, lowering your stress, and kind of getting you back into, okay, I have a problem, what's the solution, how can I fix this?
Sounds like a regulation kind of an exercise too. Just we talk to clients and when we're working with people about finding that middle ground. Not the extreme high, not the extreme low, but just kind of that middle ground. And that goes for the general population. We're all looking for the balance. We're all looking for the middle, the safe zone where we really feel like we're functioning at an optimal level. And regardless of the pandemic, these are things that we suggest people practice on on a regular basis. And there's also, I've found that there are a lot of apps for your phone. And we can hopefully attach these to our video that people can experiment with on their own if they don't have a therapist or a caseworker or somebody that they're working with, to really do that in their own time, in their own space, whatever makes sense to them. But it's whatever works for you.
It is.
Right?
It is a trial and error process for a lot of people, and that's what I've discovered. And kind of like you said, having anxiety is perfectly normal. I mean, it's a biologically inherited trait that we have to survive, right? And like you said, it's you don't want to be so high to where, a leaf falls on your shoulder and it's causing you a panic attack, right?
Right.
But you don't want to be so low where your house is on fire and
you don't even notice.
Yeah.
Right.
It's good to have that middle ground, whether that is through therapy, through medication, or a combination of both, as well as good coping skills are all super effective when it comes to managing anxiety and stress in general, I guess. So.
If you all have any more questions about the services at Texas Panhandle Centers, and hopefully you're finding these videos educational and helpful to you, your family members, coworkers, the more the merrier. The more people that are tuning in with us, the better. If this helps 1 to 100 people, we want to keep doing this. So we appreciate your time today. And again, our crisis hotline number is 806-359-6699.